here, but she was happy that men were fighting over her. And Olive Oyl said this. This is what I believe Olive Oyl said. Olive Oyl said, I don't need nobody to make me somebody. And as a matter of fact, they can fight all they want for me. You see, sisters, you got to learn out there right now that you don't need nobody to make you somebody, because you serve a heavenly Father that has made you from nothing and into something right now. You see, you being with somebody don't make you who you are. If you can't look in the mirror and say that I'm beautiful, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, if you can't say that you love yourself, then you don't need to be in a relationship. If you believe that having Gucci or Louis bags make you look better, then that is a problem. If you rely on material things or people to define you, then you have got some problems, because your value is not determined by your valuables, and when you lower your values, you lower your value. You see, if what you're showing is not on the menu, then cover it up and leave it in the kitchen, because people will always treat you by the way you look. I feel somebody feeling me up in here today. You see, the trick is dress the way you would like to be treated. If you dress like a cheerleader, then brothers gonna treat you like a cheerleader. If you dress with a pair of khaki pants and a red shirt and have the audacity to go to Target and get mad when people keep stopping you and ask you where can I find the Pampers, then what do you expect? If you dress like the girls in the videos, why do you get mad when men treat you like that? Now I'm saying they should respect you for who you are, but we are visual creatures and we will treat you by the way you look. And the sad reality is that some dress like that hoping that they will attract the type of man with goodly and godly characters. But if truth be told, a godly man detests things like that, because ain't no way he gonna wife that or marry it or bring her home to his mama, because 9 times out of 10 he's gonna use it for pleasure. And every brother out there knows the 80-20 rule. Do you know what the 80-20 rule is? He only likes 20% of what he has with you, and he is going to choose 80% that is at home, because ain't no man gonna leave his wife for that. And if he does leave his wife for that, please don't think that just because you got him, because you broke up a marriage and you got him over here with you, that you can't think for a moment that if he did it to her, why won't you think he won't do it to you? I got him away from you. If I can lie for you, then why won't I lie to you? 80-20. You only doing 20% of what his wife ain't doing or his girlfriend ain't doing. And when a man adds it up, he gonna always choose 80% over 20%. Sisters, define yourself for yourself so you don't end up becoming someone other than yourself. See, Vashti defined herself as a queen because that's exactly what she was. When you don't know who you are, you will find yourself mimicking and imitating everything and everybody else out there. That's why you have so many Beyoncés, Rihannas, and Alicia Keys, and Nicki Minaj's, because we gravitate to everything but ourselves. You got to know who you are before you try to master somebody else. And so the second part of the verse is bad, because he says, bring Vashti the queen before the king with her crown royal, and to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on. The king says, bring her out in her royal crown. Why? Because Vashti was all that. She was all that in a bag of chips. And I realized in my research that I came to understand that the king wanted Vashti to come out only in her royal crown. See, according to Jewish Talmud, she was to come out naked wearing her crown. Imagine that. It's the 7th day of the party and everybody is drunk. And the king wants his queen to come outside naked and to walk in front of his friends. And Vashti responded with a green, strong no. She said, I am too much of a queen to be anybody's Thot. I will not be a stripper. I will not be a vixen. I will not stand up and parade myself in front of your friends. I did not walk into this relationship to be abused. And sisters in this house, you better develop an ability to say no, even when others may have said yes before. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. temperature is rising. And so check what the king does. He calls his friends and he asks them, what should I do with my wife? You always know when a weak fool brother's in the house. Because he always depends on his friends to make decisions for him. You always know when a fool brother, when he allows his friends to mandate his ideas in regards to his relationships. You see, they can never man up and stand up and make a choice. The friends told them what to do. The friends told them how to dress. Their friends tell them how to act. And so now the king is embarrassed. He's saying, guys, what do I do? And the memorable man answers by saying, Vashti the queen has not only disregarded the king, but the princess and to all the people in the province. And now Vashti don't got nothing to do with these other people, but all these men were afraid of the fact that Queen Vashti stood up for herself. And if you go a little further down, particularly in the 8th verse, it says, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say to this day unto all the king's princes, which we have heard the deed of the queen, thus shall there rise too much contempt and wrath. In other words, husbands are afraid that if this thing gets out, then other women will be empowered to stand up for their rights. And so what we got to do is make sure women don't get ordained in this church, because then other women will stand up and start preaching. Make sure that women do not get a say in what we do inside of the house of God, because then they will be forced to take positions of leadership. Make sure that the women stay at the back of the bus, because if we let them sit in the front seat of the bus, then they're going to want to drive the bus, and men will lose their power. Please, man, please, Lazarus, don't let these women get any power. And it hit me right there that there are weak brothers out there that will look for a woman weaker than they are so that they can control them. There are weak brothers so afraid that if the power of Vashti got out there, it would empower other women to stand up for their rights. Vashti has what every woman has in here today. She had what is called influence. And if one of you sisters would stand up and say, I'm not going to have it anymore. I am fed up. I'm not going to allow down and allow myself to be disrespected on the TV, magazine, and school, it would catch on. If one of you sisters would stand up and say, ain't no way in the world you gonna walk down the street with me with your underwear showing, but you had better pull up your pants and get your education, you would change this world. Because I know that the world is afraid of a strong young woman that knows what she wants. The world is afraid of a woman that gets what she wants. The world is afraid of a strong young woman that knows how and when to say no. The world is afraid of strong, young, intelligent women, strong women with multiple degrees. The world is afraid of an educated woman who can speak eloquently, who can carry herself, and who can be what she needs to be in the presence of a room full of males that are afraid of a woman's power. Because I understand what an educated woman is. An educated woman has the utmost respect and the love for God and His Word. An educated woman carries herself with a humble, quiet grace, yet her presence is powerful. An educated woman knows how to think on her feet, how to speak clearly in any situation. An educated woman knows how to think like a man when she needs to, and at the same time be all woman. An educated woman knows how to carry herself with dignity and class and pizzazz, because weak men don't want women like that can challenge them intellectually. Weak men don't want women that can stand up on her feet. And Vashti was a strong woman, bold to stand up like that in a male-dominated society. Vashti not only stood for herself, but she stood for all women that came after her. And sisters, when you stand up for what is right and honorable, not only do it for yourself, but do it for those that must follow you. Because you got sisters, you got cousins, you got other women that are watching you. And I encourage you to stand up in a chauvinistic, male-dominated society. But I believe that you can do it with the power of God, because you are God's creation. You are all women. And so I've got 3 things that I'm going to bless you with before I get up out of your face. Number 1, sisters, let God love you. Bask in the goodness of God. Know that He has unconditional love for you that can go beyond any human being, except the fact that you don't have to be loved by everyone here on earth. But when you let God inside of you and let Him love through you, you will gain you. You will begin to love yourself because God says, I've loved you with an everlasting love. God's love don't ever run out, for he gave his only begotten Son, that all shall believe in him shall have everlasting life. Number two, my sisters, make sure you get your education. You see, to be honest, it's not cool when everyone fails classes, but especially when girls are failing classes, it's not a good look. Take your education seriously, for knowledge is power. When you learn how to think for yourself, then no one can think for you. Your teachers can stand up and teach you till kingdom come. I can preach all day and night, but unless you take responsibility for what you learn, you will be truly educated. Set some educational goals for yourself. Get your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD. The skies are the limit. Make sure you get your education. And last but definitely not least, beware of dogs. Beware of dogs. Because the dog may look good on the outside, but on the inside he's full of deceit. And you got all kind of dogs out there. You got Chihuahuas that are real cute and pretty. You got the very quiet and unassuming, but they still pack a punch. You got German Shepherds. Those are ones that are built and they got pecks coming out of every part of their body. Then you got pit bulls. They always want to fight someone or something, and they are bipolar. Because what you got to understand about a dog is this: a dog will play on your weakness and use that to abuse you. He don't care about nothing or you. And once he has you, he works a psychological magic on you and gets you twisted in his little game. And so whenever something goes wrong, he makes it seem like it's your fault. And then you end up apologizing for nothing. He will cheat on you and say it's your fault. He will hit you and say it's because you made me do it. He will use your money. He will make you buy him things. He will eat your food, and he will make you pay for the movies whenever you go out. You see, how does the good church girl end up with a dog? It is simply because of this. Women are attracted to masculinity, and with that comes security, because every sister wants security. Therefore, they often view the good church boy as effeminate and weak because he loves the Lord, he prays, and he's involved in church activities. In turn, the church girl associates masculinity with the bad boyness of the dog, failing to realize that his bad boyness is a cover-up for the damaged, scarred little boy that lives within him. You see, he's a scarred and scared little boy, and then he has to go to extreme limits in order to prove his masculinity. And so that's why, sisters, before you get into a relationship, you had better look deep before you leap. Because if daddy was a dog, then there's possibility that he could have had some puppies. And you don't want to date one of daddy's puppies to make sure that he is changed. And so how do you control the dog? It is simply like this. Number one, never put yourself in a compromising situation with a dog. In other words, don't go inside of the doggy mobile. Don't go to the dog house, because the dog is always looking to bite. And eventually the dog will get fed up and look for a piece of meat when he can't get that bone that is hanging off of you. Number two, don't pet the dog. Don't touch the dog. Don't let the dog touch you, because 1 Corinthians 7:1 says that it's good for a man not to touch a woman. And number three, make a commitment that the first man you will have relationships with is your husband, and no exception. Sisters, listen to me closely. If you want closure in your relationship and that dog keeps on coming back, to order to have closure in your relationship, it starts with your legs. What do I mean by that? You will get that when you watch the replay. Never give a man your heart or your body before you get married. And if you have already done it, then start over, put a lock on the store, put a padlock on that thing, and you keep the combination until you say, I do. But you don't want no brother walking around there with an image of you in your most vulnerable state. Because in most cases, it ends up like this. It will cost you more than it will cost him. It's like the story of the chicken and the